For Session Update, I'm Shannon Lurkey. Healthcare professionals, young patients, and lawmakers spoke in the Capitol Rotunda on Tuesday to acknowledge an historic event. Gillette Children's Specialty Healthcare marked its 120th anniversary with a celebration day at the state capitol. In 1897, the Minnesota Legislature helped establish the nation's first hospital specializing in care for children facing complex medical conditions.
So the primary purpose of today is to acknowledge 120 years and to say thank you to Minnesota and the state of Minnesota for creating the nation's first hospital specifically to care for children who have disabilities. We service over 25,000 unique patients each year from every Minnesota county, all across the upper Midwest, the United States, and around the world. The majority of our patients come from Minnesota, and those are all kids who have complex, rare, or traumatic conditions. We don't have a traditional emergency room, we don't birth live babies, we don't do that kind of thing. We only do children with really complex neurological or musculoskeletal conditions, which is what the state established Gillette to do 120 years ago. It was very forward thinking in 1897 to say we can help these children and include them in public life and community. 120 years ago, the standard for children with disabilities was institutionalization. Gillette is an important, independent, freestanding children's hospital. We're independent of the state now. We do benefit from the state's support, though. A significant number of our children qualify for medical assistance because of their disability. And so the state's support of Gillette through funding for medical assistance and those kind of things are incredibly important, not just for Gillette, but for all children's hospitals.
I'm honored to introduce you to my second child, Hayden, who's actually a girl. Hayden was born early at 32 weeks, but not so early that anyone would suspect that she had cerebral palsy. I soon noticed that Hayden had some delays, and by the age of 1, Hayden was a Gillette patient. Now, Hayden proudly stands as tall as Dr. Taniguchi, one of her physicians. It was not until we found our way to Gillette that we realized how incredible a place it is, and how fortunate we are to have this. Overwhelming, it's making me cry. How fortunate we are to have this resource just in our backyard in Minnesota. At Gillette, Hayden is treated as an individual, and she's part of a group of many children just like her. They're all striving to achieve the same goals and what's best for them, but I'm gonna let Hayden talk for herself.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Hayden. I'm 12 years old, and I'm in 7th grade at Friendly Hills Middle School. I have cerebral palsy, and I didn't walk until I was 3. And when I did start walking, I needed a hand most of the time, and I couldn't jump or walk off curbs. Walking was not easy. Then, when I was 4, doctors at Gillette did surgery on me. I had a rhizotomy to help me walk. I spent 5 weeks in Gillette, followed by months and months of physical therapy, where I had to use a wheelchair, then a walker, before I could walk independently again. After that, I had 3 more years of surgeries, for a total of 10, with the most recent being 2 years ago. I guess you could say I did not have the kind of childhood most kids do. But then again, because of the treatments I've had, I'm able to do things that I wouldn't have been able to do due to my CP. Now not only can I walk, I can jump and I can play soccer. I have an adaptive bike and ride with my friends. I'm in school plays and I'm active in Model UN. In fact, I love learning about the government and I want to become a lobbyist. I have an active life today, and Gillette helped make that happen. What I like about Gillette most is that they care about me medically and personally. They know about my life, they care about me more than just my surgeries and clinic visits. I'm happy that the Minnesota Legislature, both the past one and all of you today, supports Gillette and Gillette kids like me. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa, and thank you, Hayden, for sharing your story with us today. We're also going to introduce now Sarah and her son Ezra to come up to the podium and say a few words.
Hello, Gillette families and supporters. My name is Sarah, and this is my son, Ezra. We found our way to Gillette because of a traumatic injury. Ezra was a day shy of being 20 months old on February 6, 2013, the day of his car accident that changed our lives forever. That morning, Ezra had just learned to give the sweetest kisses on the cheeks, or on my lips. I dropped him off at daycare, and a few hours later, I got a call at work saying that he had been in a car accident. Ezra was taken to a trauma center, and staff there saved his life. Ezra had a severe traumatic brain injury to 2/3 of his brain, several skull fractures, a hematoma, and auto glass embedded into his skull. I feared he would never be the same child that I dropped off that morning. As he began to make progress, the care team there recommended that Ezra go to Gillette for additional treatments and extensive rehab. I learned that Gillette is where other providers refer children like Ezra and Hayden to go to. At Gillette, Ezra had to relearn everything. He had to learn to breathe, how to swallow, how to eat, how to sit, to crawl, to walk, everything. The first time he said "Mom" at Gillette, my heart overflowed with joy. It was something I thought that I was never going to hear again. Ezra continues to receive care at Gillette. He has overcome obstacles that many did not even think were possible, and he continues to defy the odds. Despite his continued struggles with him that are long-term effects of the traumatic brain injury, Ezra has a seizure disorder, as well as cognitive, physical, and speech impairments. However, because of the immediate and consistent therapies he has received at Gillette, Ezra's climb to the top of the mountain doesn't seem so bad anymore. He will be able to reach his maximum potential in life. Never limit the possibility to achieve what seems impossible, because the impossible is possible, especially with places like Gillette. And just last night, Ezra achieved a dream that seemed impossible 4 years ago after his accident. Ezra literally went from death's doorstep to a soccer field to play in his first of many more to come soccer games. I can tell you, this mama's heart was overflowing with joy and pride watching that miracle unfold on that soccer field. So Minnesota United, you better keep a spot open on your roster. I don't know if this comes off. Okay, come here, baby. Okay. So I will proudly introduce the superstar soccer player, Ezra. Can you tell everybody how old you are?
5.
What was your favorite part about your soccer game last night?
biggest soccer game!
Hey, Ezra, what do you want to be when you grow up big like Mom? What kind of job do you want to have?
Maybe I go talk. Maybe we should take a break for a while.
Take a break.
Oh no!
So I want to thank all of you for allowing Gillette to focus on what they do. Thank you especially to the Minnesota lawmakers who continue to value children at their different level of abilities.
Again!
I think Ezra wants to keep talking, so we'll give him a minute. Give everybody a round of applause. Sarah, Ezra, Melissa, and Hayden. Great job. I'd now like to introduce Marnie Falk to the podium, and then we'll be welcoming some of our Minnesota legislatures today.
Hi, thanks everyone. We're going to welcome a few legislators to speak, and these are legislators that have been very, very strong supporters of Gillette, so we're very grateful to all of them. And first we have Representative Tina Liebling from Rochester, and she is, yay, yeah. And she is the DFL lead of the House Health and Human Services Reform Committee.
Well, hi everybody. What an honor and a pleasure to be here with all of you today. Give yourselves a round of applause. You know, it is so inspiring when we think about the legislature's foresight back in 1897 to start Gillette Children's Hospital. That's an amazing thing. And I was looking up on my smartphone while I was listening to the inspiring speakers. I was looking up because I wanted to make sure what year this building was built. And it was 1905. So Gillette beat this Capitol. And this Capitol itself, you know, sometimes I look at this building and I just think, what incredible vision the legislature had then, right? Because Minnesota was barely begun. It wasn't a wealthy state, and yet legislators built this amazing building and started Gillette Children's Hospital. And that to me kind of speaks to what kind of a state we are and why we are so ahead of the curve on so many things. And I think it's because we have had vision as a state. We don't just accept things the way they are. We say we can do more, we can reach further, we can make things happen when we all come together. And that's what really excites me about Minnesota. So I'm not only a legislator, I'm also a candidate for governor. And part of that is that I really believe in this state. And one of the things that I really believe in about this state is that in healthcare, where I've been working in healthcare and human services for so many years, I really believe that we can go a lot further than we have. Because when I look at the system, and you all, I think everybody here who's involved with Gillette understands that getting the care you need is just one issue. You have to deal with a system that is incredibly complicated. How your providers get paid, whether they're going to get paid enough to pay for the care. You know, Minnesotans, I think, really value healthcare and really want everybody to participate and have a good shot at life. But the way we do it is so complicated that sometimes I feel like we work against ourselves. So I really believe that we can do better. I believe that we can move beyond a complicated system that we have to a unified system where people, when they get sick, when they have a child who has complex needs, when they have an accident, whatever it may be, that they don't have to worry about insurance, that they just have to worry about getting better. That's the kind of system we should have. And I think that we in Minnesota can have the vision to work toward that system. Not only that, and let me just regress just a bit, and what I mean is some of you who are probably dealing with what we call our TEFRA system, parental fees, to be able to get services you need if you have a child with disabilities, or spend downs that people with disabilities need to pay in order to get services that they need, or a really complicated system of waivers to get services that people need. These are terms that a lot of Minnesotans probably don't even know what they are. But people who have disabilities know what they are, and they know that it's really complicated and that getting what you need to be productive is sometimes really full of hurdles. We need to get rid of those hurdles because we need every Minnesotan to reach his or her full potential and be a full participating part of our society here. That is good for all of us as Minnesotans. That's what we need to move toward. And so I'm really inspired to be here today. I'm really inspired to hear Hayden say she wants to go up to be a lobbyist. But I just want to say, I don't know, where is she? Is she still here? Yep. There she is, right in front of me. I just want to say, you could also be an elected official. You can always run for office. Yeah, you know, the lobbyist is an honorable profession too. But You know, never limit yourselves. None of you. None of the children here should be limited, because the sky should really be the limit. And we in Minnesota are here to help you reach your full potential, and we are really proud to be able to do that. So thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. And now we have Representative Erin Murphy from St. Paul, and she is the DFL lead of the House Health and Human Services Finance Committee.
So, good afternoon, mighty Minnesotans. It's afternoon, right? Are you here? Good afternoon, mighty Minnesotans. Thank you. I am Erin Murphy. I am a state legislator. I'm also a registered nurse. I have served now in the Minnesota House for 11 years. 11 years of work on making Minnesota the best place that it can be for Minnesotans. And as I look around this room today, I have a special place and a special message for the families that are here, right here in this rotunda today. I think there are two important things that I am thinking about as I look around this room. You know, we should make sure that we have a healthcare system that is built around the needs of Minnesotans who need healthcare, and not built around the people who want to make money off our healthcare system. And right now, I think we're tipping too much in the direction of how do we make money off the system, and not nearly enough thinking about how our healthcare system is serving the needs of Minnesotans, with the goal that each of us, every single one of us, is a person and a citizen and a participant with a full potential in the state of Minnesota. And frankly, we need all our best people fully participating in the state of Minnesota and working together to build our bright future. So first and foremost, let's make sure the healthcare system is working for everybody, for the people who need it. But then let's think about Minnesota as a whole, because the needs of the people that we address here inside this Capitol are not just about healthcare. It is about all those components that allow us to live a full and independent life, whether it is strong public education, a decent job to support ourselves, our ability to get from point A to point B. There are decisions that we make as family members, as parents, that support our kids, absolutely. But there are decisions that we can't necessarily make for our families without the help of other people. And that's where we come together under the dome of this Capitol to make sure that everybody's got a real shot at opportunity. And I want you to know that I am your partner in that I see in this rotunda all the opportunity that we need for the future of Minnesota, and I want to make sure that everyone has that full shot. So please, please, please continue to support not only the work of Gillette, because you know how important that is, but support the work of citizenship. Support the work of building a bright future as a participant in our democracy, as a participant in this building, because it is where we come together to make sure that everybody's got that shot at full potential. And that is the promise of Minnesota. It always has been, it always should be. I'm your partner in that. Thank you for being here, and have a lovely day. Have fun at the soccer field. Hannah, I'll see you in the halls of the Capitol. Before I was ever a legislator, I was a lobbyist too. I thought that was my goal, but I stretched a little further, so I'll see you here. And when you're ready to run, you let me know, because I've recruited a lot of people to run for the Minnesota House of Representatives, and I'd love to talk with you too. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you. And now I would like to welcome Representative Matt Dean from Delwood, and he is the chair of the House Health and Human Services Finance Committee.
Hey everybody, welcome kids to the Capitol today. Are you guys having fun today at the Capitol? Good. We just fixed it up. We spent a lot of money making the Capitol even prettier and nicer than it was. And 105 years ago, our people came here, 110 people came here, and they were really astounded at the building. So when you get right here, what you're supposed to do, everybody look all the way up. It's all repainted. Even the mostly naked peoples up there, They're not all the way, but so you're supposed to look up and everybody say, ooh. Yeah, that's what we're supposed to do. It's a beautiful new building, and what we also did is we made it a little bit easier to get around. If you have some trouble getting around, if you need a wheelchair, if you're having a little bit of extra trouble, the building is a lot more accessible. So the building is easier to get to and easier to get around in. And kids, you don't have to be quiet when you're in the Capitol. You can be as noisy as you want to. Yay! You don't have to worry about that at all. And it's all designed. Kids, who knows who the Capitol belongs to? Does anybody know? Does it belong to the governor? Who knows who the Capitol belongs to? Right, it belongs to you. And that's why you're here today showing up for Gillette Hospital and for yourself and for your future. And it's a great thing that you're here, and we are glad you're here. Gillette's a super special place. It's got great people working there. It's got great kids who come to get better there. A few years ago, my son was out shoveling. Does anybody ever have to shovel? And he was saying his arm hurt really bad, his arm hurt really bad, and I thought he was just trying to get out of shoveling. So I said, well, if it hurts that much, we're going to go to the doctor. Well, we did go to the doctor, and it turned out that he had something that he needed fixed that was very, very serious. So we had to go to Gillette, and I had to stay there with him in the bed for a long time while he got better, and he had got operated on and stayed there for quite a while. But I got to learn the Gillette way and the people who were working there. And the first day or two he was there, they had games. I don't know if you guys ever get to play games that night in there. And he said, well, I don't want to play any of those games. That's kind of stupid. And so he pouted and he didn't want to do that. But about the third night he said, oh, what about those games over there? Maybe that'd be kind of fun. And so he got into it, and it was awesome. He got better, and he got better and better, and Gillette Hospital helped him do it. It helped us do that. So it's there for you because you're special, and Gillette is special to all of us here in the state of Minnesota. So that's why we're glad that you're here today. And I really hope you enjoy your Capitol tour today, and you have some time to visit with your legislator and have some fun today. See you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we have Senator Tony Laurie from Carrick, the ranking minority member of the Senate Health and Human Services Finance and Policy Committee.
Thank you, Marty, and thank you all for coming down. It is truly worthy of celebration, 120 years of service to the state of Minnesota and to the rest of the world on behalf of Gillette Children's Hospital. You know, my experience with Gillette Children's Hospital goes back many decades myself. I have some siblings with some fairly significant disabilities that went through a series of surgeries, some of which were successful and some of which weren't and had to be redone. And Gillette was with my family from day one, and it meant so much to me. So knowing that they were there probably 80, 90 years before I even showed up with my siblings was so important. And later on, just in the last few years even, my nephew ran into some very serious issues. You know, just had an issue arise with his brain. It took him out of functioning at his level for quite some time, and he found his way within 12 hours to Gillette from one of the other 87 counties. I mean, people are coming from all over this state, all over the world, truthfully, for the specialty services that are offered at Gillette. And my nephew, when he ran into his issues, you know, he was in, I think, 4th grade, and he was very active, and he was a softball player. And you know, I was down there the next day. I listened to the kids speak, you know, Hayden and Ezra, and it took me back to being in that room. And Gillette made the extra effort of making sure that they put together a communication link with the rest of his class, and put him in his classroom the day after he arrived there, and kept him in touch with his community and his friends and his neighbors that support him, because that's a part of health too. You know, and Gillette gets that. Gillette gets kids, and know that we have to support kids, and that's true across our whole health care system. And you know, I have been on several tours of Gillette Hospital, you know, because I'm a legislator, and I've been active in the health and human services world. I'm carrying some of their legislation again this year, you know, fairly technical, trying to clean up some disproportionate share hospital funding issues and things, but you know, I won't try to bore you with that. But I've been over several times to make sure that I understand, as a legislator, the nuts and bolts of how things work, and that we at the legislature do everything that we can to make sure that this is still there. But then when I'm there, I've been there many more times, just as a friend, as a relative, as a person who cares about a patient who Gillette is caring for. And those are the tours that have impressed upon me so much the critical nature of the services that are provided at Gillette. And so I'm just so proud to be here and congratulate Gillette and everyone that they serve. And you know, Hayden, I know that several have encouraged you to go on and be a legislator, but I wanted to just make sure you didn't come from northeastern Minnesota first, you know. And if not, then I would encourage you to look at being a legislator. Just kidding. But I have faith in you. You're going to grow up to do great things with the support of Gillette, and thank you all for coming, and enjoy your day at the Capitol, and stop in to see your legislators and tell them your stories. It's powerful, and it does make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we have Representative Joe Schumacher from Laverne, the chair of the House Health and Human Services Reform Committee.
Thank you and good afternoon. Welcome to the state capitol. I hope you enjoy your visit here today. I just want to thank you and help celebrate with you on the 120 years that the organization that you're a part of is celebrating this year. And there's quite a bit to celebrate, especially when you try to factor in what it takes to stand the test of time, especially over those 120 years, what we've seen in healthcare, what we've seen in technology, what we've seen in our society, and all the things that have changed, and Gillette has been able to keep up with that and keep ahead. And really, what they do is not just providing care. What you experience as families, what the care providers serve, it's not just providing care. It's being able to provide the opportunity so that we can do more. And so I know that that's the theme this year, celebrating the 120 years, and it couldn't be more appropriate to be able to do what you can and to be able to really push that along. And really what sets Gillette Children's apart from so many of the others is the research that is done, particularly in the areas for cerebral palsy and epilepsy. When I've done my tours at Gillette's and just seen what is being done there with the gait and motion analysis and with epilepsy, and just trying to find the balance between the intrusive types of procedures and monitoring that needs to be done, but also balancing that with what the patient needs, what the family needs, what the child needs, and what those needs are versus what the needs for getting better are. Just finding those new points, and through the research that's being done, it's really incredible to see that firsthand and to know that this is why we're able to survive for 120 years. The other points that we have here, the assisted technology services, is also something that sets Gillette Children's apart from all the others. To be able to see that, and even on a Friday afternoon, the last time I toured that area, it was still quite a bustling place because there's so much that's going on, so many people that are being served by this. And finally, the integrated care model there, I think, sets Gillette's apart from so many other hospitals and even children's hospitals across the country because of what they do with integrated care models. And it's been part of what Gillette has done from the beginning with what they've had. And I found it interesting when looking through the history, the over 120 years of what they've done here. Integrated care wasn't just the care model that they have. It wasn't just on healthcare issues. They also started a school just 3 years into starting the hospital to make sure that when children were in and receiving care, that they also could receive their education. That's part of that holistic and integrated care model that has continued through, and why we're able to see the success today, and why you can look at not just providing care but also providing that can. And so thank you for the opportunity to celebrate with you today, and I hope you enjoy your day at the Capitol.
And we have our last speaker now. We have Senator Jim Abler from Anoka, and he is the chair of the Senate Human Services Reform Finance and Policy Committee.
Well, thanks for being here. Just we need one more political speech. Actually, you don't need any political speeches. You just need to know that we all care. I'm Jim Abler from Anoka, and I'm privileged to get to serve. And I heard one of you wants to be a legislator someday, and that'll be awesome. And the place belongs to you. And one of my favorite things I get to do is when some kids come down from classes, and I say, who owns the Capitol? And back then it was Jesse Ventura, or the governor of Dayton, or somebody. But it's the people, and it's you. And so you've come today to express yourselves to the people who say they represent you. And the way they represent you, the way I can represent you, is to understand you well. And people say Republicans, Democrats, or whatever. Frankly, we all care. We all care deeply about what makes you be interested in Gillette's. And 120 years ago, there wasn't one of these places, and somebody thought that'd be a good idea to set it up. In 50 years, it better still be here, because there's people going to need it, and you will have long moved on from your interest in coming to the Capitol about this. And so you're paving the way for the future. I put this on top here. We're in the middle of what's called conference committees, and we're writing bills. And this is actually a copy of the current House and Senate omnibus side-by-side bills, where their version's in here, and I could read it to you if you'd like. Well, maybe not. But it was some legislation like this that Gillette got founded in terms of funding, and some good people decided to do it on their own, and over time we've helped them out from the state, and you with your taxes make a difference. So I just want to tell you that I'm on your side. I really care. I know my colleagues do as well. And every day some of you wake up with challenges that you never knew you were going to be getting to have. But it does matter. I appreciate those as best I can. And I pray God's blessing on all of you, and I pray that all the healing that can be had for you and your family and your loved ones, and those to come. So enjoy your day at the Capitol. Thanks a lot.